Hello, welcome to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. You are listening to newsstreamingnetwork.com. I am your host here tonight, Cece Shatz. I'm the Doyenne of Relationship Building, and you're listening to Date the Right One. And we are so excited to have you on the show here with us tonight. We've got a wonderful guest. We're going to be talking about scams. And, everybody hears it over and over and over again about the scams that we get on online dating. We get them through Facebook. We get them through all these other places that we are because technology, right? Well, we've got the expert of that. And so we are so pleased to be able to have her today. Patsy is a passionate advocate for protecting individuals from online scams. She will share her expertise, her personal experience, and identify avoiding romance scams. So let's talk to Patsy. Hey, Patsy.
Hi, how you doing?
It is so great having you. Our topic here is the scoop about online romance scammers, and you are Patsy Roach. So tell us a little bit about you. I know you've got a wonderful podcast out there, which is called Pink Lady Against Scammers. And then you've got a great blog. Those of you that love to read blogs, I highly recommend it. It's pinkladyagastscammers.com. So tell us a little bit about your background, why you decided to really make this a passion for you to really expose and support those that have had to go through scams.
Well, in 2016, I worked full time as a secretary at a company in St. Louis. And so I was in church the one Saturday. I'm Catholic. Not always a good Catholic, but I'm a Catholic. And I was looking at the back of the bulletin and they had an ad for CatholicMatch.com.
Mhm.
Now, I'm not looking for anybody. I'm happily divorced, but I have curiosity and I will go and do something to cure the curiosity.
Mhm.
So I signed up for that, but nothing really happened. My one friend said, "Oh, you want to try Match.com?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'll sign up for it." I signed up for it, and like within 5 minutes of my profile going live, I get a message. And it's this guy who says he's in the US Army on a peacekeeping mission somewhere in the world. And that's a line that I would hear many times over. And so we would chat, but the way he would write, the grammar always wasn't good, and it was a lot of love bombing, and it was just weird to me. And the one thing I do remember was he said, "Oh, well, I would move anywhere I found the right woman," and he was going to retire in 3 months. My first thought was, well, I don't want you moving here and not have any friends. I mean, oh my God, you'll smother me, and just how I am. So anyway, we exchanged a couple emails and his were very long, mine were short. It was a lot of, "Oh, you're so beautiful. I can't believe like all the men in St. Louis aren't chasing you around," or stuff like that. I was just like, "Ew." So I'm at work a couple days later and I show my coworker. I go, "Hey, look who I met on Match.com." And she goes, "Is he in the army?" I go, "Yeah." And she goes, "He's a scammer." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And so my friend Candy goes and tells me the whole spiel. And I'm like, "Oh my God, I never heard of such a thing." And so I went home, Googled his picture, and sure enough, it came up. Somebody said, "This is a scammer." So I immediately emailed him back, said, "Don't you ever contact me again. I know you're a scammer, blah, blah, blah." I blocked him. And I was a little freaked out. Now, I never sent any money ever,
Mhm.
but it freaked me out. I was like, "Oh my God, is he going to find me?" And, all the crazy stuff that you think. And my coworker's like, "They're not going to, he's in Nigeria. He's not going to come over here just because you won't email him anymore. So
Yeah.
I ended up moving on to our time, and then Plenty of Fish, which is I refer to as a joke as Plenty of Fakes, which is the big scammer pool. And I
Absolutely.
mean, every guy I talk to, they'll say they're from St. Louis. Well, I'm actually here, but all this stuff. But it was the same story and synopsis over and over.
Mhm.
And so I would talk to Deb, my hairdresser, and I would say, "I've always wanted to start a blog. I think I finally have my topic. So at the beginning of the blog, I go back and I look at it. I'm like, "Oh my God, this is horrible." But that was in 2016. But I got better, but I would do screenshots of my conversations so people could actually read the garbage that they would spew. and I would play a character. For a while, I used Patsy, and then I changed it. I go, I don't want to use my name. So I
Right.
go by Suzanne Sugarbaker, who is my favorite character on Designing Women.
I know. I remember that character. Yeah.
Yes, Delta Burke played her. I absolutely love
Yeah.
her. And so I
Mhm.
go by Suzanne now. And so this just kept going on. And then Twitter and Instagram, because I'm not really on the dating sites. I still have one on Plenty of Fish under Suzanne's name, but my pictures in my blonde, I wear a blonde wig if I video chat with them.
Right.
And so when I got on Instagram, especially now, I'm not even on Twitter anymore. But Instagram, I have two Suzanne Sugarbaker accounts, and they find you if you post something under a celebrity page. It's like they comb down the page and they look at you and they start to follow you and send you a message. It could be somebody pretending to be that particular celebrity. I can't talk,
Mhm.
or anything. And I mean, when COVID started, it was crazy because it's like the scammers were in full force
Right.
coming on there.
Mhm.
So I was interviewed in November of 2020 by a lady from Channel 5 KSDK in St. Louis who wanted to have me on because of my blog and everything.
Mhm.
And so she's a wonderful lady, and after we were done talking, I had told her, I said, I really, because she asked, well, what do you want to do now? I said, well, I'm thinking about starting a podcast. Oh, you have to. You must, and she was very encouraging. And so the St. Louis Public Library, I encourage everybody to check out your resources at the library because they're free. I
Mhm.
took a podcast class through them. It was once a month for an hour, and you learn the basics. I went and bought books. I watch YouTube videos. I Google. I kind of learned how to do it. But also in 2020, I would never talk to these guys on the phone. I was too scared. I don't know what happened, but one day they called and I started talking to them. And the conversations are hilarious, and they're all on my YouTube channel. And so I would, again, playing a character and say far-fetched things. I do have a wild imagination. I watch too many soap operas. So I would record them on my computer at home, and then 3 years ago I joined TikTok because the cable guy goes, "Oh, you should join TikTok and do your stuff." I don't know anything about TikTok. Well, I joined TikTok, and it was about a year and a half ago. I had maybe 1,200 followers, and I
Mhm.
was doing just little video things, really silly things. And I saw a gal on there who was showing conversations, text conversation she
Right.
had with a scammer. And I thought, gosh, I have all these videos with audio. I ought to start posting those. I started posting those. And with the correct hashtags, which I had to learn about, I went from like 1,200 followers to the 29,000 that I have now.
Wow. That's
And
unbelievable.
I started doing lives. And last fall, somebody goes, "Why can't you talk to a scammer live on a TikTok live?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'll have to figure out to do that." I forgot I had an iPad. So I pull the iPad out and I use that for TikTok. And then I have my cell phone that I use, which I hook up to a Bluetooth speaker now so that you can
Right.
hear better. I also stream on YouTube at the same
Mhm.
time. And everybody likes it. People participate in the comments. They'll say, "Hey, say this to him. Say that to him." It just gets
So
it's
he doesn't know he's being recorded or
no, he
he's
doesn't
on.
know that. He thinks I'm just this real lady falling for him. I fake cry. I profess love. I say and do anything. Well, I mean, within reason, because I'm on a TikTok live.
Yeah.
And and the whole part of it is, yes, we all have fun, but I'm showing you what these guys sound like, how
Yeah.
quickly they will say, "I love you, Suzanne," and I make faces. I stick out my tongue a lot because you'll see me because I'm just like gagging because I'm like, gross, and you can hear what they say, and then they're going to work up to the point, which is rather quickly lately.
Mhm.
"I need a gift card. Do you think you can get me a gift card?" And I play along. "Oh, sure." So I have empty gift cards that I found online, and I'll send those. And then they'll come back. They'll come back, "Honey, it doesn't work. Where did you get this card? Do you have a receipt? Blah, blah, blah. And then we kind of come in for the takedown. I go, of course it's empty. I sent it to you on purpose because I know you're not the guy in the pit. I go through this whole spiel of,
Yeah.
crazy stuff. And I do a lot of goofy, crazy stuff. And
Mhm.
I'll be driving home from work. I'm like, oh, I ought to try this. I come up with some of the ideas. Some of them are spur of the moment.
Mhm.
And some of them, it's like, I'll be out somewhere. Oh, I got to write this down so I don't forget. This would be something fun. Like, this is tonight's story. Like, my basic story is I'm a doctor. I talk in a very terrible Brooklyn, New York accent. I go, I'm a doctor, and I'm a urologist, and I do vasectomies all the time. And I'm from Uranus, Missouri, which is a real place. It's home of the world famous fudge factory. I give them so much free advertising, and so that's, I used to say Pluto, Missouri, which there is no Pluto, Missouri. And
Right.
then somebody sent me the link to the Uranus, Missouri website,
Mhm.
and I started we on my live the one night, we're just going through and I'm reading all this. It's hilarious. I want to take a road trip there with my daughter, put on my Suzanne Sugarbaker wig and do some videos. I'm home, everybody. I'm in Uranus, Missouri. And I will say some of the bizarre things to these guys, and it just like they'll say, "What'd you do today?" "Oh, I just got home from an all-day orgy at church," and they'll be like, "Oh, well, that's nice," and I just look at everybody, and I'm just like, You
Oh
still
my
love."
God.
I know,
Truly
and I'm like,
entertainment. Yeah.
yes, yeah, it
Mhm.
is, and, I'm a big believer, laughter is the best medicine.
Mhm.
I like to laugh, and I like to make people laugh. Now, I can't make
Mhm.
everybody laugh, but I sure got a lot of people that love coming in and seeing, "What is she gonna do tonight?"
Right.
But it's all about educating so that ladies and guys don't fall for these scammers
Yeah,
because
there's guys too. I mean, I remember
yeah.
a friend of mine had a girl that he was talking with and was very where was very happy with her and all this and everything was good. And then I said, well, something's not right about this. And so I took her picture and I put it up on like Google and searched it, and it came back with all this stuff. And so I think it might be good, that we can share some of the different things you can do to see if you are being scammed.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
do have 2 guy friends on TikTok who were
Mhm,
scammed.
mhm,
The one is too shy to come in my box, but we're good friends, and then my other one is Coastal Cowboy 79, and he
mhm,
comes in and he told his story several times for people who hadn't heard it. He's a guy, he's a smart guy, and he fell for it,
mhm,
and I think he only sent like $5,000 maybe, which is a lot to me, but
mhm.
still, it does happen to guys, you
Right,
know,
right.
um, and a lot of time when it's a guy talking to a girl, chances are the girl is really a guy, a scammer. A guy.
Mhm,
There are girl scammers. I have a video where I have these 2 people. One is pretending to be the Prince of Dubai, which is a big one, and
mhm,
he's pretending to be his sister. So the 2 of them were probably. I know he's not the Prince of Dubai, but I know they were like working together, and that's really one of my craziest videos. Those are the ones I'm like, "Oh, go watch this." I mean, I'll go watch it because it makes I laugh at myself because I'm
mhm.
just like, I don't drink, I don't take drugs, I drink Diet Coke and water,
Right, right.
I'm just naturally silly and goofy,
Mhm,
but it's all about the education. I like to make it fun.
mhm.
Um, I'm a big proponent of, uh, encouraging women not to let it get to them. Um,
Right, right.
I
Mhm,
I always tell them, "Look, it happened to you, and it's
mhm.
terrible, and my heart goes out to you, but take what you've learned and help someone else. Please
Right.
don't let it bring you down." Like, there are some women who have it was too much and they've committed suicide, I've read.
Mm,
And actually, I just recorded a podcast with a 77-year-old lady before this
mhm,
interview who had, um, got scammed out of probably close to $200,000.
mhm,
But she's back. She fought back. She found me on TikTok, reached out to me. "I want to come on your podcast and tell my story." And her
mhm,
story is very good. It made me and my guest co-host get choked up at one point. Does have a happy ending, and I'm not going to tell it to you because that episode comes out next week.
Right.
But I just to listen to her, and she learned from it, and she wants to help others,
Mhm.
um, so that this doesn't happen to them. And as I say, when people say that, welcome to the team.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times the ones that they scam, the ones they are successful with are those that are really, really wanting and looking for a relationship, and maybe been out of the dating market for a long time and then put their toes in it, and then they come across someone like this, and it's terrible. It's terrible to think that is happening to them. So I guess the number one thing we can say is never, ever, ever send them anything. Don't send them any gift cards. Don't send them money. Don't send them anything.
Yeah.
So
I always say they don't
mhm,
love you, they love your money.
right.
Because once they have wiped you dry and you have no money, they're gone. And
Hmm.
the probably chances are they've already started on somebody else,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's one of the biggest things is, first, well, like when it comes to a dating site, people will ask me, what's the best one? I can't tell you because I don't really know, but I can tell you, be careful on there and do your homework.
Hmm.
If you're seriously looking for a guy on a dating site, and I have friends who've met their husbands on there, so I don't condemn them. But first off, make sure the dude lives in your city. And if he doesn't live in your city, don't waste your time. In the messages, look for the grammar, look for how they type things, how they say things.
Hmm.
That's a big red flag right there. Of course, I always say, as soon as they greet you, if they say, hello, beautiful, hello, pretty, that's your big flag right there. But, do your homework. I have a friend of mine, his daughter got married in January. She met her husband on Bumble. And they met during COVID, and they video chat several times before they actually met in person.
Hmm.
I recommend you do that.
Hmm. Right.
FaceTime with whatever app you have, like Instagram or Facebook or
Hmm.
any of
Hmm.
those, because see them. And then when you meet in a public place. Let somebody know, hey, this is where I'm going. Excuse me. This is where I am. And then I'll let you know when I'm leaving, and I'll let you know when I'm home, just to be safe. Hopefully at that point, you've talked a couple times and you feel comfortable meeting in person,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
don't go home with them.
Never. Yeah, never. Yeah, and well, the other thing is too is like when you're on a dating site, and I recommend dating sites because I think it's a great avenue in which to meet someone. So, but when you're on there, you want to look at their pictures, right? And and as you're starting to converse with them, I always ask them, where are you living physically? Where are you
That's
actually
good.
physically living? Because if they're overseas on some sort of project, well, they're not for me because I'm on a dating site ready to date, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I can't date you if you're over there. So, I want you here. And then I'll also ask because I think they lie. So I also ask like, well, what area, are you? Yeah, I'm in Tampa Bay area, right? So what area in Tampa do you live? And they'll say something that's, not true. We know right then, okay, you don't know Tampa, if you're saying that, or you don't know Clearwater or our areas around here, Pinellas County, or what county do you live in? They don't know. So they mess up. And so you can catch them that way. And so you just want to be inquisitive about that. And again, like I think your suggestion about talking online, I like to talk on the phone right away. Any guy that says to me, well, you'll have to text me before we talk. And it's like, what? Do you have to tell your girlfriend or your wife to leave the room? I mean,
Hmm.
no, thank you. And so it's like, well, no, not for me. And I'm kind of, it's terrible to say, but I just stick with those rules. And then I haven't had any kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
trouble with it. And look at their pictures. When you look on the dating sites, they put pictures, or even on Facebook, got Facebook dating too. And so you look at their pictures and you can see that sometimes they don't even resemble each other. Each picture is different of a different person if you look at it closer,
Hmm.
and you're thinking like, wait a minute, this isn't even the the same person, you know. So
Yeah.
you want to be very careful. And I never, like not on a dating site, but like on Facebook or whatever, because I get a lot of people contact me on Facebook. If all they have is women friends, then you don't need me as
Yeah.
your friend. You don't need me. You
Yeah.
you are busy. You don't
Yeah.
need me as your friend. So I don't even, do that route. And if I do, like we said before the show, if I do go ahead and befriend you, I think that maybe has something to do with business. And then you start doing all this, oh, hello, beautiful, and oh, what are you doing today? And blah, blah, blah. And then I block them and get rid of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a big St. Louis thing is you always ask somebody, "Oh, what high school did you go to?" I
Mhm.
don't know where this started, but it's a St. Louis. It could be elsewhere too, but we know.
Mhm.
And so, like, if I get these guys and they say they're from St. Louis, I'll be like, "Oh, what high school did you go to?" And if they can't answer right away, they got to Google a high school.
Yeah.
You
Then
know. And then
know.
I did actually a couple weeks ago. I had a guy on Plenty of Fish contact my alter ego Suzanne. We
Mhm.
chatted a little bit, and then I right away I was like, "Hey, let's meet this Saturday." Oh, well, let me see. And well, I really like to text more and get to know you. And so on Plenty of Fish, after you send a couple messages, you can actually do voice messaging.
Mhm.
And I like to do that, to let them know, hey, I'm really an American and semi-normal. Um, and so I did that with him, and I go, why don't you leave me a voice message? Never would. And then the big, not I already knew he probably was a scammer, but the big one was, well, how about we move over to Telegram, which is an app,
Mhm.
and we could talk better over there. And that's exactly how they say it. And whenever they want to take you off any of your main platforms, that's a red flag number two,
Mhm.
because like if you're on Facebook, you're on Instagram, you're on Twitter, um, they can be tracked. They can, be watched. If you move over to like Telegram, Zangi, Google Chat, um, there's just a whole bunch of
What
them.
about WhatsApp? I've always
WhatsApp too. I don't
You
do
ask me
I
that
don't
all
do
the time.
WhatsApp
WhatsApp.
because I have to use my real phone number, and I don't use my real phone number. I have two app numbers that I will
Mhm.
use,
Mhm.
but and they don't let you do that over there. But
Mhm.
the reason you don't want to go over there is because it's encrypted, which means they could disappear and that's the end. You'll never find them. There's no, I hate the expression big brother, but big brother can't watch you.
Mhm.
I use Zangi, and I always tell everybody, don't move off the platform. I move off the platform just because Zangi is a little user friendly for me.
Mhm.
Um, Instagram monitors stuff that you say, and if I say the wrong thing, I get put in Instagram jail,
Mhm.
which I have been. And so on Zange, but also on the TikTok lives, when I'm talking to these guys, I still got to be careful because TikTok will put me in live jail. Been there
Mhm.
twice this year. So,
Mhm.
but but the thing about Zangi that I do like is when I'm ready to block them, I block them. I can delete the chat on both ends so they have no
Mhm.
record of it, which they can do to me too, you know.
Right.
But I use Angie just because it works well with my Bluetooth speaker. On
Mhm.
Instagram, I can't get my Bluetooth speaker to work because that it helps make it louder so that YouTube and TikTok can both hear pretty well.
Right.
Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, that's another thing when they want to take you off platform. No, don't. That's red flag.
Right. Right. Let's talk about a little bit more, safety features, safety things that individuals can do as they're out there online dating. But we're going to have to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about that. I just want to make sure that I share your podcast, which is Pink Lady Against Scammers. And then also make sure you check out that blog. You just go to www.pinkladyagainst.scammers.com. And so check that out because a lot of great information there, and it sounds like wonderful entertainment on the podcast. So you might want to, have nothing to do. It might be kind of fun to listen to. So I would recommend that. You guys are listening to Date the Right One. We're right here on the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio, TV, and podcast. We are the number one internet singles talk network. We have combined all of our information, going bold and going solo, on the new streaming network.com. You can find our Roku app on New Streaming TV. So just check us out there. We're going to be right back. I'm Cece Shatz, and I'm looking forward to being with you on the second part of the show. So stick around. Welcome back to Date the Right One on WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. We are a TV, radio, and a podcast station. We have moved everything to our new streaming network.com. So check us out there. You'll find our radio station. You click it and listen to it. You can pick us up in the car. We love it when you guys talk to us and tell us about all of your wonderful stories that you have on dating and all of that. We love that and we do appreciate it. You guys need to reach me. All you have to do is go to goingsolonetwork.com. That's where I have all of my personal information. If you'd like to join my singles group, there's a link there. All you have to do is click it. And then if you also want to join our travel group, Going Solo Travelers, you could also join us there too, which I would love that. And then, of course, you can email me. I answer all the emails personally on goingsolonetwork@gmail.com. So don't hesitate emailing me. We are talking about the scoop about online romance and scammers with our wonderful guest here, Patty Roach. She has a beautiful and a very funny podcast, which is Pink Lady Against Scammers, doing her best to help those that are, traveling through the online dating and trying to get them to be more of aware of what scammers do and really kind of breaking the ice and exposing them, which is, I think, really a cool thing. Again, her blog is pinkladyagainstscammers.com. Go to pinkladyagainstscammers.com because we definitely want to expose them and really keep ourselves safe. So the first part of the show, Patsy, we talked about, really kind of how you got started on this, what you do, which is very, very interesting, very fascinating, some of the stories that you shared with us. So those of you that missed the first part, go back and listen to it. We would love for you to listen to those. But we're going to talk about some of the safety things. And we started talking about that on the first part. And you were really great with sharing some of the different things that we should do. Any other suggestions that you have on how to keep ourselves safe as we're number one, don't give any money and don't send any kind of cards, right? And then you said stay on, if you're on a dating site, stay on the dating site. Don't go off the dating site. They'll want to get you on another place to talk to you. They can talk to you right there on the site. One of my suggestions was don't use your normal picture that you use on Facebook because they, of course, can take your picture and Google it, right? So don't use your picture. I've also suggested getting a Google email, so you're not using your own email. Any other suggestions that you would suggest to those out there?
Well, one thing, and this could just be me, I don't think it is. Like, if you're going to do a dating profile, don't put your children in your pictures.
I agree.
I just, there'll be some of these guys, and I know they're scammers and their pictures they stole, but I'm like, don't put the kids out there. This is just your profile. They need to get to know you first
Mhm.
before they get to know your kids. So that's just a kid safety tip
Yeah, and
that
I
I,
worry
I
too about pedophiles, and things like
yes,
that. I mean, so
yes, yes,
they'll be searching, someone that has children, and so you don't want to put your kids out there. You can always say you have kids, and then you'll discuss it, when the time is right. But no,
right.
you don't need to
Yeah,
display your children, your cute little grandchildren, and things like that. Don't do that.
yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. But no,
so
just I always say trust your gut instinct. If it doesn't feel right, listen to your gut.
mhm.
Sometimes the heart is in a different place, but trust your gut because if it doesn't feel right, it's not right.
Right.
On your profile, talk about yourself. Give information. Don't give too much information, but like a little teaser, I guess, Um, and like I said earlier, FaceTime them. Get them to
Mhm.
FaceTime you. Scammers will not do that.
Mhm.
They'll give you an excuse. Oh, my internet's not good. Um, I don't have enough internet, which will lead to them asking you for a gift card for their internet. Another thing I don't think a lot of people know is when they ask for gift cards, they go online to some place where they can sell them and get cash for it.
Mhm.
Now, our money, United States money, is worth a whole lot more over in Nigeria.
Mhm.
So if you were to send them a $500 gift card over in Nigeria, it's worth 692,000 lira. I can't remember their money. It's worth a whole lot more over there. So,
Mhm.
when you said, "Oh yeah, I'll send you $500," they're wetting their pants because they're thinking they're getting 692,000 of their dollars. Um,
Right.
Yeah. So, because it's like, well, if you have internet, why do you need a Steam card? Steam cards are very popular. And if you don't know what a Steam card is, it's a gaming site, which I belong to. And it's for that site. You can't go to the store, you can't buy internet with it. Um, but yeah, just look for those things. And like when they first message you, if it's like, hi, pretty, hi, sweetie,
Oh,
endearments. That's a red flag. The way they type and say things, a lot of times they won't say, hi, this is Suzanne. They'll say, hi, am Richard. Am everything is, am Richard, am a doctor. And, it's that kind of stuff.
mhm.
The grammar and the way they type things gives me a headache. I will read these on my TikTok lives and I have to stop because I'm like, I'm getting a brain tumor from reading this because it's so bad. I'm very adamant about good, my Catholic school teachers would be thrilled. I'm very adamant about good English, good grammar, and when I read this, I smack my head on my desk, I just can't take it. Um,
Right.
but those are a couple of the things. And again, if they will say, well, come meet me on Telegram or Skype or any of those, that's your big red flag. But I would try to
Right.
get them to video chat as soon as possible. If they're
Yeah.
real, they're going to show themselves.
Mhm. Another trick too is to ask them questions, but ask them again. Like maybe the first time you're chatting with them, you could maybe ask them something, and then the second time don't. Then the third time, kind of repeat your question, word it a little bit different. See if they give you the same answer. Because I've done that before, and they give me a totally different answer, and I say goodbye. Block, delete, because they're just they're
Yeah.
searching for stuff, they're googling stuff, trying to come up with as quickly as possible to answer, and they forget what they told you the first time.
They've
Yeah.
gotten me mixed up with other girls before. They'll be like
Mhm.
saying this stuff and I just make a joke. Look, I think you got me mixed up with one of your other babes.
Mhm.
And
Right.
oh no, 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 you're the only one I'm talking to. Which brings up another thing is they're very possessive. Like, you're not talking to anybody else, are you? Of course I am, but I'm not going to tell them that. And don't tell anybody about us yet. They're very secretive. They don't want,
Mhm.
because if I were, let's say I didn't know all this and I went and talked to my neighbor, they might be very educated about this and they might say, let me see the messages. I think you're they don't want you doing that because then they'll talk you out of talking to him.
Yeah.
They're very secretive. Don't tell
Mhm.
anybody. The love bombing, it just is too much.
Yeah. I actually had my sister. She was talking with somebody one time, and he was in the service, and she was. I mean, she mentioned it to me, and I said, "What? What?" And she went on, and she started more and more, and I said, let me see the messages." So I started reading the messages and stuff. I said, "Honey, you're getting." I said, "Have you sent him anything?" And she did send him some cards and stuff. And she
Mhm.
said, "Well, it wasn't very much money." I said, "Stop right now,
Block
because
them.
this is a." I said, "This is guys a scam." And so then again, we did the Google thing and we did all that so she could see, but it just broke her heart. I mean, she was just I mean, he said how much he loved her and that he wanted to get married, and she, her husband was deceased, and she hadn't dated, and it just, when you
That's their
see
targets.
someone hurt like that so much, especially,
Yes.
with me being her sister, my heart just broke for her. But yeah.
Yeah. That's
um,
their target. Someone who's
mhm,
I hate the word gullible, but that's
mhm,
that's the word. Older, I'm heavy set, so I'm like their perfect target. Um, Widowed, very lonely, maybe unattractive. Wait a minute,
mhm.
I'm very attractive. Um, not in my wig though, not in my wig, but that's
Now,
what it
I was
is.
going to say that too. And when you said about widow, I tell my friends that are widowed, don't say you're widowed.
Yeah,
Just say
yeah,
you're single. You don't have to say you're widowed, because then they think you've got money because your spouse died and left you money. And so they're
yeah,
really going to go after you. So
yeah,
don't say you're widowed. Just say you're single. They
yeah.
don't need to know that
No,
you're widowed. And then if
no,
you meet someone, you can always then tell them,
right.
as you're conversing and talking about each other, you know?
Yeah. And I understand how, you have this guy and he's saying all this great stuff to you. Um, in the 80s, this could have been something I would have fallen for.
Mhm.
I look back and I don't know, and I know a lot of women feel this way. In the 80s, I just felt like, oh my God, I gotta get married. I gotta get, I want to have a baby. Well, I don't know about the baby thing yet, but I gotta get married, and you're just, and I think if we had, I'm glad we didn't have social media when I was growing up, and I'm glad we didn't have it in the 80s. I would probably, I don't know where I'd be, but in trouble. And no, I was really a good kid. But I can feel and understand that because of how I felt in the 80s. So I
Mhm.
understand how these women can feel that way. Now, I'm happily divorced since 2005. I don't have time for a man. I have too much going on. I couldn't put up with it. I would get, okay, you got on my nerves. Go home. I'm done with you. But I can understand how these women would feel about that because that was me in the 80s. And now I like to take and learn from stuff that I've done. And I've learned so much from being a divorced woman. I know
Mhm.
what I will and I won't put up with it. I try to, and I've shared my whole story on my TikTok lives, just because, look, this is what happened to me. And it's nothing bad. He left me for another woman. That's fine. I was unhappy. But I just don't want women to feel too bad about this, that you can move on. Your
Mhm.
life will get better. It's not going to be easy, but there's always, you hit rock bottom. There's no else place to go but going up, which is what the lady said on my podcast today,
Yeah.
which is so true,
That's what my
and
mom used to say. My mom used to say, "There's nowhere to go but up." Yeah, she used to always say
yeah.
that all the time.
And I just hate seeing women getting taken advantage, and men too. I hate seeing them getting taken advantage, because I mean, I'll talk to anybody. I give my phone number out. I'll talk to somebody on the phone. I can't get your money back, but I will listen and I will definitely make you laugh. And at the end of the call, I'll remind you, you are an awesome person. Don't let this get you down. Take what you've learned and help somebody else so that they don't
Mhm.
fall for it because you know the signs, you know the
Right.
game.
You can be sharper with it. The only thing I would say, because we're gonna have to close the show here in a minute, but I would say like be intentional when you date. If you're intentional when you date, you'll see those red flags that when they come up because you'll see that number one, they can't talk to you at certain times. They're not available to you. They're somewhere else. How can you date? That's not intentional dating. And so you want to be that. They want to take you off the site. They don't want to keep you on. I stay on the site until I'm not available.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's like if you want to make me not available, then you got to meet me. We got to date. We got to and then I'll get off the site. But I'm not going to get off the site unless I know for sure. So
Right.
yeah, so it's like and talk to your friends about it because share your experiences because they can see something that you can't see, right? So when you're telling them, if you're telling one of your girlfriends, you're telling her, oh, this happened, and they said this, and your friend will say, whoa, wait a minute, this doesn't quite sound right. And then you guys can come up with a plan, like you said before, of what you can talk to them, how you can ask them, and then you can kind of see if they're real or not. So yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you
And
do a good job. I think
oh,
you
thank
do. I
you.
know you take a humor in it. I know that you
Yeah.
you you keep and it's important to do that because you laugh, you laugh at it and like, okay, this is what it is. Let's just make the most of it. But you also create a tremendous amount of awareness, which I
Mhm.
commend you for doing that because I know you wouldn't be doing it if you didn't think that it helped people. And so you take a very fun and funny approach to it, but it's all real. All this stuff that you're sharing is real life stuff. It's very painful. And certainly wouldn't want people to start emptying out their savings accounts and all these
Yes.
horrible things that we hear. So we want to protect them and not do something like that. So I thank you so
Oh,
much,
thank you.
Patsy, for
Thank you
all
for
that you
having me.
do. So it's beautiful. So any last words you want to share with our audience tonight?
No, the only other thing I wanted to say was if you have a family relative or friend who was scammed, don't yell at them. They already feel bad enough. That's the thing I always hear. My family just really let me have it. Um, and I know the family's going to be mad, but be gentle, help them through it, be there for them, because after how a person feels afterwards, they feel stupid, they feel dumb, they feel, just a bunch of bad emotions. And having your family or your friend dump on you with that isn't easy, because the lady that was on my podcast, she was able to get her family back. Her son was mad, but they worked it out, and
Mhm.
everything is just really good. So I mean, be a little mad, but
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
desert them. Be there for them. Let them talk, let them cry, or whatever
Mhm.
you need.
Mhm. Yeah, that's great advice because these individuals are feeling so rejected again, because they realize that when they're scammed, it's just a form of rejection, because the people aren't authentic, they're not true. And so
Yes.
they put all their heart and soul into this and then find out they're not real. So it's a true emotional and a personal attack on someone. So please, be supportive. I think that's a good thing that you did say is that don't be mad at them. Be mad at the situation, but don't be mad at them. So yeah,
Well said.
yeah, yeah, very wonderful. Well, you've got a terrific podcast. So anyone that wants to listen to it, it's Pink Lady Against Scammers. And where can they find that podcast?
I'm on the usual places, Apple, Amazon Music, Pandora,
Yeah,
iHeartRadio, Spotify, and
yeah,
there's a couple smaller ones.
yeah,
But if
all the
you if
major
you
ones.
Google, you go to my blog, it's all listed there as well.
And then the blog, as you said that, is pinkladyagastscammers.com. So just go to the blog, find out where you can go. And really, probably wherever you listen to your normal podcasts, you can probably find it
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
So, but definitely listen to it. It might give you a chuckle here and there, but it will also create awareness of what's happening because they come up with all these different schemes and things, and it changes. It's forever changing. So you want to be aware. If you're in the dating scene, you want to be aware of scammers out there and you want to be smart about it. And if you find yourself scammed yourself, don't beat yourself up about it. Just try to move on, but be smarter about it the next time. So thank you so much,
thank
Patsy, for
you.
being on the show today.
Great. Thank you so much.
It is great having you. Well, we had Patsy Roach on the show here today talking about scammers. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. You're listening to Date the Right One on WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, and we are newsstreamingnetwork.com, home of Going Bold and Going Solo. I am Cece Shatz, the Doyenne of relationship building. It was so great being with you here tonight, and I hope you'll join us next time. Bye for now.